Hi class, here we are on module 3, and I have spent my morning looking at your empowered learning um, artifacts that you did, and other things as well, your digital portfolios. So things seem to be going well. I enjoyed class yesterday with everybody, and sorry for the ones who were not able to be there. Um, So, and one thing that happened, as those of you who know was there, that there was way more planned than we got to. And so we're going to do a little bit of catch up today. I'm going to adjust some things to make sure that we have time to get through what we need to get through during this time. My goal in this class continues to be giving you opportunities to explore different tools and get those big picture ideas about why we're using technology and how it can be helpful for instruction. So a big part of that was the instructional frameworks activities that we did on Thursday, where you had the opportunity to just start thinking about um, how you would, as you were planning a lesson for anything, you might think about how technology would play a part in that to enhance the learning, transform the learning, etc. So I hope that as we continue on, you can do that. Pick one of those tools or use a combination of those, but just kind of have those ideas in your head. So today our big topics are going to be innovative designer. That's one of the um, student tech standards, and then also a little bit about assistive technology, using technology to break down some barriers for student learning, and we'll look at that a little bit. So let's get going here. So as I just said, we're going to be looking at the Innovative Designer Standard. We're going to get started on our research project today by looking at a way to gather some resources, curating resources, which actually goes with Knowledge Constructor, but we didn't get to it on Thursday, so we'll do it today. We'll look at the idea of personal learning networks. Also kind of goes with Knowledge Constructor, but really goes with a lot of different ones. But this idea of building this network of people that can help you um, is pretty important for us to go over. And I am not going to talk for 4 hours, and I'm not going to give you 4 hours worth of work this time. So hopefully you'll be able to use some of this class time to actually work on some of the assignments and get a little bit ahead. All right, so here's my reminder that during this class, we want to create, communicate, collaborate, and think critically. Those of you who were in class yesterday know that those are the 4 C's, but it's just that the thing I love about the 4 C's is it's an easy reminder for any time when I'm planning a lesson. I can think through those things, whether I'm using technology or not. Okay, so I wanted to talk just a little bit about a PLN, which is either a professional learning network or a personal learning network, depending on who you hear it from. And this idea that the smartest person in the room is the room itself. So this idea that we all have a lot to learn from each other is really a powerful thing that I want to get through to teachers, not just about technology, but using tech to build this professional learning network and this idea that we do and can learn from all kinds of different people. And I have some wonderful examples in my own personal life of how I have this professional learning network that really reaches all over the world, and I use it to I share ideas with them and they share ideas with me, and we actually collaborate on projects. And tools like Google Slides and Google Docs and many other tools make it so easy for you to actually work like really work with somebody, not just kind of, you know, share, here's this picture or here's this, but actually get down and work on a document together or um, some kind of presentation without even being in on the same continent. An example of this is this down here at the bottom. The way this hide set is frustrating to me. Okay, um, is Miss Cassidy's classroom here. Uh, a second, I'm gonna do this for a second. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. It's hiding my this set. I'll get there in a minute. Miss Cassidy's classroom. Gonna see if I can make this work for me. Hello. Okay, I'll just do it this way. I need I'm learning a lesson that I cannot put a link right there if I'm going to present like this. So I'm going to stop. Okay, I learned a lesson about where I could put a link if I'm going to present like this, and I can't put it right under the driving bar there. So anyway, Miss Cassidy is her name is Kathy Cassidy, and she is in Moose Jaw, Canada, and these are her children here are from one year. I'm not sure if this is a current year or not. But the cool story about this teacher is that she and a teacher from Maine and a teacher from Brisbane, Australia, connected online, and they all teach primary, like first grade kind of students, um, and they all teach the same grade level, and they connect together weekly using different tools to collaborate on lessons. And their students use either Google Hangouts or Skype to talk with each other every week, and they learn a lot from each other. And um, these three teachers, they actually did this for about 2 years before they actually met in person. So it's pretty cool, just the way that that professional learning network really has no barriers. That they can actually plan lessons together and participate, and the kids can participate in lessons together weekly. Um, the teacher Amanda Marion, who is in Australia, has actually Skyped into some of my classes as well. And Maria, the teacher in Maine, has too. So this is just an example of how teachers can use their resources and other teachers around the world. I know when I first started teaching, I was teaching. I mean, when I first started teaching with technology, I was teaching in um, overseas in Ecuador and Kenya and Indonesia, and I was the only teacher at my grade level, and I couldn't run to, the closest teacher store to get resources and things like that. So I learned to depend on my PLN to help me to learn. And there's lots of different tools that teachers use to share and to learn from each other. Facebook, Twitter, um, Google Plus, Pinterest, Instagram. There's lots of different ways teachers are sharing with each other, and you can learn from each other. And here's an example of my PLN story. And this I created using a tool called Google Tour Builder. Okay, so here you'll see it says, I learned so much from my professional learning network. Some of my peeps are close by and sometimes uh, um, get I get to see face to face. Others I have either only met or learned for at conferences, or more likely just online. I can't read today. Okay, so This is Mount Vernon is my hometown. My PLN included teachers, staff, students right here in my own town. I participate in workshops, book studies, PLCs. I even learn just by walking down the halls and walking into classrooms. I learn talking to teachers and students. Sometimes I have a hard time convincing the teachers who I work with the value of sharing with others. Sometimes they lack the confidence they think to think that they have something worth sharing, but they do. So a big thing for me is sharing. So not only do I want you to gather stuff from other teachers, I want you to share the cool ideas that you have with other teachers. At Western, I learned from my students and other professors. I had the wonderful opportunity to host Paula Dagnan during her sabbatical. It was wonderful to have her to brainstorm and plan with during the year. And we still get together at the Starbucks on Cook Road every once in a while to plan and strategize together. North Sound Tectosa Group. This is a group of people who have similar jobs in their district, and we meet both face to face and virtually throughout the year. Currently, we are working together to align the tech standards with all the other content standards and create a scope and sequence. So here are some people who I know in that way. This is a group of educators in Washington, the Google Educator Group, who use G Suite for education. We have a Google Plus group, and they are my go-to group when I have a question about a Google tool or need help with an activity or an idea. So I go to this Google Plus site online, and I can ask any question about Google, and somebody will have a great idea. Discovery Education. The Discovery Educator Network was my first introduction to an online PLN. I have learned so much from this group of educators from around the world. I've also had the opportunity to meet several of them in person. So I've had the opportunity to go to Silver Spring, Maryland, and meet with the people at Discovery Education, and also attend workshops like at Berkeley, California, and some different other places as well. Google Innovative Educators. This is another group that I learned so much from. These are teachers from all over the world who share and celebrate learning. So I had the opportunity to become a Google Innovative Educator about 9 years ago, and since then I've been a part of that community. And I actually got to go to the Googleplex in Mountain View, California, and learn about Google and all the tools and meet these teachers from around the world. Amanda Marion was the teacher I was talking about who works with the teacher in Maine and the teacher in Saskatchewan. Um, so here she is. This is amazing primary teacher in Australia. She's someone I follow on Facebook and Twitter. She and I have Skyped and worked on collaborative projects together. She weekly teams with teachers in Maine and a teacher in Saskatchewan to plan collaborative lessons for her students. And here we are in Saudi Arabia. Tara and I taught together in Ecuador. She is now a librarian at a school in Saudi Arabia. She loves to have authors Skype in and share with her students. And actually, Tara is moving to the Czech Republic this summer. Anne Hayes Bell and I are on a committee with OSPI, and we're teaming up to do a workshop on GeoTools at a conference in Seattle. We will do our collaboration online. So we created this whole presentation, a 3-hour workshop that we did in Seattle, and we did all of the planning online together. Sometimes we would use Google Hangouts, and sometimes we would just share tools with each other. And this is a friend I met via Discovery Education about 12 years ago. And usually in this class, he's my mystery Skype friend that we Skype in with, and you guys try to figure out where he is by asking questions. Um, we've collaborated on several projects throughout the year, and he's moved to another location, and he usually joins us for Mystery Skype, but right now he's actually in California, so that's not quite as exciting. It's where he actually lives now. So I need to find somebody else for us to Mystery Skype with. Richard Byrne is a teacher in Maine, and I haven't ever met him in person, but I learn a lot from him online. He has a site called Free Tech for Teachers, and that's a great site to follow to learn about new tools, and he'll show you how to use them. George Couros is somebody that I have met, and he's a principal in Canada, and he has an incredible blog called The Principle of Change, very inspiring. He's written a book called The Innovator's Mindset, which actually takes the growth mindset one more level further. This idea that we can also continue to innovate. And I'm doing I have done a book study with teachers from all over the world who are working on reading through that book and learning from that book. Okay, so that's kind of just a view of what my professional learning network looks like. You'll see there's people from all over the world and kind of different job roles and things like that. Lots to learn from each other. So I hope that I can inspire you to seek out those people and learn from different people. Okay. So as I said, I think it's important for us as teachers not only to go online and gather information for people, but as we grow as teachers and as we participate with our students and learn things with each other, I think it's also important for us to gain the confidence to share out with others. We can learn a lot from others. They can learn a lot from us. And so this is just an example on this slide of lots of different ways that I try to share out what's happening and what I'm learning and what I'm seeing in classrooms with other people, so that I'm doing my part. Obviously, as a pre-service teacher, you may not be able to share much yet. Maybe you're just you're the one who's just kind of soaking it in and lurking right now, and that's totally good. But when you do something or see something that looks exciting, it's great to share, and it's a good habit to get into. As I said earlier, I see a lot of teachers who don't think they have anything worth sharing, and they do. And so the more we can start sharing with each other, the more we can learn from each other, the more we can use each other's ideas so that we don't keep having to recreate the wheel. So as you see here, I've got blogs, I've got a website, I've got Twitter account, Pinterest, Google+, Instagram, all different ways that I share. And here's a quote from Sherry Edwards: "By sharing and following our passions through connections and collaboration with others around the world, we demonstrate lifelong learning for our students." So again, this is not only an opportunity for us to learn, it's a great opportunity for us to model that learning and that sharing with our students. So just some ways that this connected educator looks: willingness to be digitally literate, so not afraid to touch the tools. I know some of you are a little afraid, but you are willing, and so that's great. Willingness to seek out and connect with other educators, willingness to explore and share ideas with other educators, willingness to develop and maintain a professional learning network of sources, willingness to peruse, engage, and share in pertinent education blogs, and willingness to be a lifelong learner. So all of those things are really important if we're going to be connected educators. So, and then for our students, as far as modeling, this is a good quote from John Seely Brown. "The new literacy beyond text and image is one of information navigation. The real literacy of tomorrow entails the ability to be your own personal reference librarian, to know how to navigate through confusing, complex information spaces and feel comfortable doing so. Navigation may well be the main form of literacy for the 21st century." So this idea, it's not just being able to read the words or listen or view the text, it's actually being able to figure out where to find the information, how to gather it together, how to put it together. That navigation piece is really important. And hopefully we'll learn more about that as we move through this class. Okay, so Speaking of the Professional Learning Network and also this navigation, this idea of being able to find and curate that information, we're going to start that with our project, our research project that goes with the IT 344 part of this class. So in class last on Thursday, um, we looked very briefly at the Horizon report, and I know I didn't do a very good job of that because we were running late and I was just trying to get it out there for you. Um, so please feel free to go back and look at that information and get some more ideas. But that report, again, is a report that kind of talks about the trends in informational technology and the challenges in informational technology as well. Um, and so the idea of me sharing that report with you was to give you some ideas of what you might want to use for a research project. Again, this is kind of a not a hugely in-depth research project, but a research project that helps you practice some skills in finding resources, in collecting and sharing information, in creating different digital kinds of content and that kind of thing. So your job this week is going to be to think about and come up with an idea for what you would like for your research project to be about. Again, the Horizon report is a great place to take a look and figure some things out. I'm just going to throw out some ideas off the top of my head. Um, um, Bilingual education or dual language education would be an interesting topic. Um, um, Things that have to do with equity might be a good topic for research. Um, Assistive technology, um, makerspace, robotics, coding. Um, let's see. Yeah, so just growth mindset. These are some topics that you're probably exploring in other places as well. STEM or STEAM. So my challenge to you is to decide on a topic that you want to research. I would suggest that you not make the topic so narrow that you're not going to be able to find very much information on it, but also make it not so wide that it's just too overwhelming. So play around a little bit with your topic, and you might come up with an idea that's either too narrow or too wide. And as you start looking for resources, you might find that you need to adjust that a little bit. Whoops, wake up. Okay, so and this goes along with our student standard about that knowledge construction piece. So students plan and employ effective research strategies to locate information and other resources for their intellectual and creative pursuits. So that's what you're going to be doing, practicing that skill. Our students need to be transliterate, and that means fluent in all mediums of information. And I'm gonna kind of push you in that way today as I get you to look for resources. So not just reading and writing, but videos, infographics, audio, lots images. All of those things are part of um, our literacy now. Okay, and another part of that standard is students curate information from digital resources using a variety of tools, methods to create collections of artifacts and demonstrate meaningful connections or conclusions. So we're going to take the information that you find and we're going to put it together. And I'm going to show you some different tools to use for that. And you can choose which tool you want to use. Um, Yes, and we can talk more about this when we're together, but I do want to show you those tools today as well. Okay, so I have actually decided to combine two different assignments into one here to save you a little bit of time, and I think it makes a little more sense since we're adding this research project onto the class. So, and that is on your digital portfolio, and there's an assignment that asks you to find some resources for your professional learning network. And then you also have this part of your project where you're supposed to be curating resources for this research project. So we're going to add those two together. Um, and I'm going to be a little more specific about exactly what you need to find for your PLN finds. So you're going to use a social bookmarking or curating tool, and I'll talk about what that is, such as Pinterest, EduClipper, or Diigo, to collect information on whatever the topic is that you choose. And then what you're going to, and I have specified some specific things that I want you to look for when you're doing your research. So I don't want you to end up with 8 articles, 8 written articles, or 8 videos, or 8 of anything. I want you to try out some different types of resources. So here are the types of resources I want you to find. I would like for you to find 3 websites on the topic. So let's say your topic is bilingual education. You're going to find 3 websites that deal with bilingual education. Okay? Then, a little bit different, you're going to find 3 blog posts that share a teacher's perspective on the topic. So the difference is a website might be like the website might be from the International Society for, bilingual education. I don't know if that's an actual thing, but and then it might have lots of different information, things on there. So the blog post is going to be a more personal account of that same thing. So this is going to be a teacher who's teaching bilingual education, if that's your topic. Okay? And so you're going to find 3 blog posts written by teachers on the topic that you're talking about. These are probably, you may find to be the most powerful things to do. When you start being able to find teachers who are willing and are sharing about how they're using or teaching a certain topic or using a certain strategy, you're going to find that incredibly powerful and you're going to get a lot of ideas from them. So I want you to do the work in finding blog posts where a teacher is writing about how they're working with whatever your topic is in the classroom. Okay? And then 2 web tools that could be used with this topic. So a web tool, different than just a website. So this is some kind of interactive tool. An example, we'll go back to my bilingual education example. A web tool might be a translating tool, or it might be a tool that will, a translating tool. So there's several different translating tools. So that might be what your web tool is. Or it might be a tool for creating images that can be used to help in sharing content. So making things very visual for students. So those would be 2 web tools. So you're going to find a tool that you can use to create things for your class or that your students can use to learn. Okay? And then you're going to find 1 video on the topic. Okay, so you're going to go probably to YouTube and you're going to search for the topic and find a video that helps explain the topic, gives you some ideas, shows examples, etc. And then this is the one that probably you haven't been asked for before. You're going to find some contact information, an email address, a Twitter name, Instagram name, whatever, some way that you can personally contact someone who is an expert in the area that you're researching. So maybe it's you read this blog post from this teacher who's sharing about her dual language classroom, and then you actually contact this teacher and you're able to share that teacher's information. So you could go in and contact that teacher and ask them a specific question. So it's not just general contact, it's you asking specific questions. You don't have to actually ask anybody a question for this, but you need to have that contact information. Okay? So for this project, you have your topic. You're going to come up with your topic, and then you're going to be looking for 3 websites, 3 blog posts, 2 web tools, 1 informative video, and content information. I'm going to keep these guidelines here because I want you to stretch yourself to try to find those things. If you find 5 websites, 2 blog posts, 3 web tools, etc., that's probably going to be okay as well. but really try to stretch yourself to find a variety of tools is the main thing that I want you to do here. Okay? Some examples of tools that you can use to collect this information. Everybody collects and organizes their information in different ways. And I'm just going to share a couple here. You may have another way that you want to do it. And I'm actually not going to spend the time in this video that I'm doing sharing this because there's a video here that'll explain it more. So one of them is Diigo. And Diigo is a great tool for as you find information on a topic, you can collect it all in one place so you can go back easily and find that information for later use. And you can sort it and do all kinds of things with it. So it's a great tool for collecting your information and organizing it into pieces that make sense to you. So you may start collecting information. When you find this great science website, you put it in your science tag. And when you find a great, PE one, you put it there, etc. So this video will help you understand what I'm talking about. It's a tool that I used for a long time. I have to admit that I'm not using it much anymore. I probably should. It's a lazy thing that I'm not using it, but I do want you to take a look at it and see if that might be a tool that would be helpful for you. This one's probably one you're more familiar with, and that's Pinterest. And teachers have really taken on Pinterest and use that for collecting and sharing ideas, not just about education, but also about all kinds of different things. So here's a tutorial about how teachers are using Pinterest as well. And then this tool is Feedly, and I do use Feedly. And what Feedly does is it allows you to, once you find those people, those bloggers and those different places where content is continually added, tweets, blogs, Instagram, YouTube, subscriptions, that kind of thing, you can go to Feedly and create a Feedly account. And in Feedly, you can say, these are the things I want to follow. And so instead of when you're ready to sit down and see what's new out there, you don't have to go to every individual site. You just go to your Feedly account and it shows you everything that's new from all the sites you've chosen. I use that tool a lot. That might be a tool that's useful to you. Okay. Another useful thing as far as collecting resources is a YouTube playlist. And so when you find videos, and I think I'm going to actually pop in here and show you how to do this. Molly's a little weary of going to my YouTube because I never know what it's going to decide to show you. So it shows you that I like a singer called Carrie Newcomer. Okay. So I would like to go to my other account. Let me do that. Okay, I'm going to keep going on that one because it's going to, actually, I'll just stop here. Okay, so I'm back in it. I got to the correct YouTube account. So creating YouTube playlists can be helpful. Take a look over here at my so I've got subscriptions to people I follow. And then I also have, there you go. So here's some subscription to different, I clicked on one button and it, oh. Okay, I'm going to go back to what I was going to show you and not show you my whole YouTube. We'll talk to YouTube later. But one thing that you can do is as you find resources, so look, like right now you're taking a science class, and so maybe you can find some really great science videos on a topic that you're working on in science. This happens to be a music video, but that doesn't matter for what I'm doing. So you'll notice over here, I've got my video open. If I click on this little add to button here, these are playlists that I've created. And so I can add to any one of these playlists, or I can create a new playlist. So like for instance, if I wanted to have a playlist that was called music videos, I create the playlist, I enter the name, and I decide if I want to be able to share this with other people or if I want it to be private. So that's up to you. And then you're going to hit create. Probably for this example, you would want to keep it public, because the cool thing is what I can do as a teacher is I can collect resources for my students, video resources, and I can make a playlist on the American Revolution or whatever, and then just provide a link to the playlist instead of each individual video. And then they'll have that whole curated list of information. And they're not searching all over for videos. They just have the videos that you want them to take a look at. Okay, back to, so that's just another way to curate content, is create playlist. All right, I'm going to, okay, so I'm going to go back one here, actually here, to this. So your assignment as far as working on the curated resource, this is part of your research project. And I want you to start doing this. It's not going to be due until the end, so in August. But what I want you to start doing, and I know, anyway, is pick your topic. You need to do that now, and you need to start finding some resources. That's what I want you to do right now. We'll talk more about what I want you to do with those resources when we meet on the 19th. We'll do some of that in class together. So on the 19th, if you have those resources available, we'll be able to collect them and publish them and do all that kind of good stuff with them. Okay, so that is the PLN, knowledge constructor piece that we didn't get to last week, your research project part of this lesson. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to take a look at innovative designer, okay? Just a little bit. So students as designers. And this is a switching gears, and I apologize, but that's what we've got to do. So let me get back to where we are. So I've got a video here. Hopefully you'll be able to hear this. Let me make sure you can hear it. And this is on the Makerspace.
We found out that if you twist this part, that's the volume. We found the motor attached to the car under this circuit board. It's moving! It's working! Now take it off. Now put it back. That car that we made was just the best thing we ever made in our life. Was a Mr. Kitty driving? B50. I found so much head. He came up with the idea. I made a fish. Fashion walkie-talkie. Like she's listening and I'm talking. It's a dog robot. Superhero. Well, we have one more problem. What happens when it takes off? You don't know yet. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so I kind of ended up scooting through the end of that video just because I felt like it was taking too long. But Makerspace is just one of the ways that we can promote that idea of innovative designer. This idea of being able to think things through in new ways, be able to take things apart and put them back together and figure out how things work. Um, we can do it, as you saw in the video, with very low tech kinds of things, where, or we can use high tech things as well. So you'll see maker spaces that use all kinds of circuits, electrical circuits, things like the drones that you saw in there, coding, and then you'll just see duct tape and cardboard as well. So lots of different ways that we create the innovative designers. There's a video that I love to share, and I'm going to save it for later in the quarter, called Teens Arcade. And anyway, I'll wait and share that later. But your job today, as far as your product for your standard, is going to be to take a look at that standard. And so you're going to look at the ISTE standards here. Let's see if it takes me to the ISTE standards. Yep. You're going to take a look at the ISTE standard and read some information about how to become innovative, how to help kids become innovative designers. And you're going to take a look at my example. And the example I share here, I use Google Docs. As a teacher, I was trying to be an innovative designer. So what I did is I used Google Docs to design a lesson, an interactive lesson, that it is a Google Doc. No, it's a Google, I think this is a Google Doc and not a Google site. I can't remember now. No, it's a Google site. I mean, a Google slide. I used Google Slides to create this this interactive lesson, and so it's got a link for the student to go read about the innovative designer. It's got a link to a video about the innovative designer. It's got this insert learning activity to do. It's got a Flipgrid activity. But I, as a teacher, was acting as an innovative designer, and I used a tool like Google Slides, which we usually think for presentation, to create a lesson and pull all of these different resources together to make a lesson. So that's my example of an innovative designer. And if you go to the link and take a look and go through my innovative designer thing, you will actually learn more about being an innovative designer. This activity that I did here with the Google Slide is called a hyperdoc. And later on in the quarter, we're going to be using this idea to create our own lesson plans. So this is a preview of that. So just like you did with Empowered Learners and just like you did with Knowledge Constructor, you're going to do the same thing with the Innovative Designer. You're going to pick a tool that you haven't used so far. And remember, you can use the tools that I shared from the Speed Geeking or the tools that I shared in this example here, or any other creation tool that you want to try, to show what you know about innovative design. And that's your project for this week. And I'm going to leave this video for you to watch on your own. Design thinking. So this talks a lot about the process skills. It's a really good video to help you understand a little more about innovative design. And now we're going to switch topics again. So we've gone from professional learning networks, and then we talked about design a little bit. And now we're going to talk a little bit about a way that I think it fits in really well with innovative design, because we have to kind of think outside the box to break down some barriers for students. And that's assistive technology. So assistive technology is any kind of tool that helps break down a barrier, take away a barrier that's in this case, keeping a student from learning. It could be, it's just breaking down barriers that keep people from participating in activities. So a non-educational assistive technology would be an example of a ramp instead of stairs. So with a ramp instead of stairs, people who are pushing a stroller, people who are in a wheelchair, people who are on a bicycle can all use that as well. So it breaks down the barrier of them being able to get up the stairs by providing a ramp that can do that. So that's what assistive technology is. It's not necessarily high tech. It can be high tech. It doesn't need to. I like this example in this picture here of a teacher who has crafted a device out of, it looks like a pipe cleaner and a piece of yarn, to help hold the pencil in place for a student who's having trouble with that. That's something that breaks down a barrier for that student so that they're able to write better. It's not expensive. It's not something that you have to, put in a work order or request for. It's just a tool that student can use, a technology that student can use to help them. So in the very simplest form, that's assistive technology. Here's some other ways that we might use assistive technology. All the accessibility tools that are on the computers, the tools that read to you, the tools that make things bigger, the tools that the braille letters, all that kind of stuff is assistive technology. Sometimes it's an actual person sitting next to somebody taking notes. That's assistive technology. Being able to help somebody to organize their thoughts and their ideas using mind mapping tools, different kinds of study skills and activities. A lot of times the barrier that a student has to do with organization or has to do with focus. It's not necessarily they can't use their limb or they can't see or something like that. It could be focusing skills as well. So different tools for writing, reading, hearing, vision, time management. I talked about focus, communication, organization. All of these are things that you might need assistive technology with. Again, I'm not going to show this video right now, but I would like you to look at this video on universal design for learning. And this is the idea of when you're creating lessons and activities, you're trying to think of a way to provide the clearest path for all of your students. So again, that example of the ramp, you may not need a ramp. You can walk up the stairs. You don't have a disability that keeps you from being able to walk up the stairs. But then one day you're moving furniture, and wow, wouldn't it be nice to have a ramp? So by providing a ramp, not only are you helping the people with a physical disability to be able to get there, it's not hurting anybody else either. It's providing an opportunity for them too. So a lot of the tools, especially technology tools that we think of in our classroom, um, that we're designing specifically for a student with a specific disability, are also helpful for other people as well. An example, a real good example for me, is voice typing or dictation. So the idea that I don't have to use my thumbs to text a message, I can just hold my phone up and dictate the text. It saves me time. It means that I don't have to stop what I'm doing and look at the screen, all of that kind of stuff. I can text with my thumbs, not as well as most people, but I can text with my thumbs. But I can also use that assistive technology. So that idea that that technology takes away barriers and makes it easier learning for all students. This is one picture. We talk a lot about equality versus equity, and I think that it's important for us to see that difference. So equality isn't the same thing as equity. So everyone having the same size box does not provide everybody with the same opportunity. And you see that here with the apples. So sometimes to provide the same opportunity for our students, we have to provide different kinds of support or scaffolds in order for them to all have the same opportunity. This is my friend Nikki, who is our assistive technology person in the Mount Vernon School District, and she shared this example of using these gecko gauges. You see these things right here. She was putting up siding on her house, and these gecko gauges, make it so that that can be done by one person. So she's got some different kinds of assistive technology here. She's got an extension cord that helps her get to where she needs to go, a nail gun so she's not having to hammer that in, the gecko gauges here to hold the thing in place so she's not having to, she has enough hands to do the job, and a ladder to get her where she's going. All of those are examples of assistive technology. I think a really big important thing for us to think of as teachers is there's a lot of ways that technology can be an equalizer. They can they can break down those barriers and help all students be able to learn. So it can be an equalizer for students who have limited English, who have reading comprehension problems, autism-like characteristics, organizational and focus difficulties, dyslexia and writing difficulties, math phobias or math difficulties, social emotional needs. Um, some other considerations are things like adverse childhood experiences, trauma that students have experienced that may make it hard for them to learn, um, socioeconomic difficulties. So the fact that all kids don't have the same access to technology at home, how can we help make that better at school? Highly capable. We often don't think about the fact that our students who have very high IQs also have issues as well. And so providing technology that helps them move on when they need to move on and continue to be engaged and that kind of thing is important as well. Okay, I'm going to move past this. No, I'm not going to move past it. This is a place where you can interact. There's not very many of these in this particular lesson today. So, who might need assistive technology? So I've got another Padlet here for you. And so here's my example of somebody who may need assistive technology. So a student has an illness that keeps them from being able to come to attend school. Possible resources might be providing recorded lessons online, having a student join in class via video conference, have student participate in online discussion groups using a tool like Google Classroom. So all of this would be assistive technology for a student who couldn't come to school. Okay, so what I would like for you to do is use our Padlet tool to think of an example of a situation where a student might need assistive technology and what type of technology might they need. So make sure to add to our Padlet on meeting diverse needs. And I'm just going to show you a couple of ideas of assistive technology that are free and readily available to our students. Sorry, looking out my window at something. So there's text-to-speech tools. So there's tools that will read text to our students. A very good example is Read and Write for Google. And this is an extension. I've got this here on mine. And if I click on that, it comes up with a, hopefully, we'll come up with thinking, a toolbar. Yes. Give it a few minutes. So it's going to come up with a toolbar, and if it doesn't, we'll keep going. But one of the things on that toolbar, it will highlight, you can highlight and have it read any text that's on your screen. So it could be text in something like this, or it could be a web page, etc. This may not be working because I'm recording, so I'm just going to keep going. And I will show you more of that in class. So that's one way, really powerful tool. Read and Write for Google also does translating and other things that make it a really powerful tool for us. Then there's also speech to text. So we have, and I've already given an example of a time when it's hard for me to write, but I can speak and get my words out. So there's some nice speech to text tools available. The most handy speech to text tool is right in Google Docs. So we all have access to Google Docs. And this also, I don't know if it's going to work because I'm recording something else, but I'll show you how to find it and you can try it for yourself. So here I am in Google Docs, and if I go to Tools, oh, now I've got my toolbar for Read Write. So there you go. Anyway, if I go to Tools and I go to Voice Typing, and I click to Speak, now I can speak, and it will type for me, period. New line. I can add all kinds of things using this tool, period. Select all. Bold. Didn't do that. Now it's bolding. Okay. All right. So this is the voice type tool. It's right in Google Docs under Tools. Obviously, it's not all perfect, but it's a pretty handy tool. And this is the thing I like to share in voice typing. So here I am. You'll notice that you can, if you're speaking with a different language, you can pick the language so it knows the accents and all that kind of stuff. This little question mark here, when I hover over this, the question mark shows up. This is great if you want to play with voice typing. It will tell you, it gives you all of the information about using voice typing. And what I love is it tells you how to use all the different voice commands, like selecting text and formatting your document and adding tables and all kinds of cool things. I could play with it more than I have, so I suggest you can play with it as well. Okay, back to here. So speech to text, a really valuable thing. Kids got a broken arm, or they just have trouble getting their ideas down on paper. A tool like this can be really helpful. There's a lot of different tools that help with readability, and because you can check these out. So people with dyslexia, there's a there is a type of font that weights the bottom of the word a little bit. Some students with dyslexia will say that the words just kind of fly around the page, and for some reason this font helps weight those words down so they don't fly around the page so much. This visor tool here will actually just highlight part of the page so you can just see. I think I've got that one on here, so I'll see if I can. Yeah, so this is the visor tool here, and I can move it, except it's doing different things because I'm in a slideshow. But it will highlight just a part of the text. It's what the visor tool does. I'm not doing a very good job of that right now, so take that off. Go back to where I was here. So yeah, I would suggest that you click on these links and play around with these tools a bit and see what they do. Same with the reading comprehension. Newsela or News ELA or however you want to say it is a nice tool. It has informational text, but the cool thing about it is that it will and you can take a look at this more too, but it will change the complexity of the text so different reading levels can read the same information with different complexity of text. All of these tools kind of do the same thing there, so that's worth checking out. And then Google Translation, you've probably all played around with that a little bit. I love this video here that shows how you can use the app on your phone or an iPad. It doesn't work on a computer. Um, you just hover over. It's augmented reality. So you hover over a sign or something that's written in one language, and it will translate it into your language. Lots of cool things that can happen with Google Translate, and we'll play around with that a little more in class as well. But you can take a look at that video. Another thing you can do is you can turn on or you can add subtitles to YouTube videos, which is super helpful for lots of reasons. It could be a noisy room or that you can't listen because there's other things going on in the classroom and you have to be quiet, but you can watch the subtitles. Or it could be somebody who actually can't hear and they need to see the subtitles. Okay, so we've cruised on. It's about an hour into this lesson, and it's probably about time for me to stop talking because that's a lot of talking for teacher time. So I'm going to give you one more assignment, and this is not the way speed geeking usually works, but I want to make sure that we have a chance to explore some more tools, and so we're going to do speed geeking a little bit different this week. Your assignment is going to be to go to this link that I'll show you in just a second, and you're going to pick a tool and write your name by it. And then you're going to spend some time looking at that tool and answering these questions about the tool. So where is it? So it's already going to have the link on it, so you don't need to worry about that. What does the tool do? Okay. Do you have to create an account or can use it without creating an account? Is it free, a freemium, or paid? So if you haven't heard of the word freemium, that's a tool that you can use for 30 days for free, or you can use some of the features but not all of the features. You have to pay for more of the features or whatever. Teachers and me especially are really good about figuring out ways to use the freemium tool to our best ability and never having to pay for the tool. So, but anyway, that's what that means, free, freemium, or paid. And how can it help teachers or students? An example of how it can be used above the line in SAMR. And so remember we learned about SAMR this last week. And so above the line would be, instead of just substitution or augmentation, you're actually modifying the lesson or you're redefining the lesson. Modifying or redefining. So how can the tool be used in a way to transform the learning? And the last question is there another tool that can be used? For instance, if my tool was Google Slides, I could also use PowerPoint in a similar way. So some other tools that are similar to that. So that's what you're going to be doing. I'm going to click here so you can see the spreadsheet. So I've got all these tools, and the first one to jump in and put their name as reviewer gets that tool. And if somebody else is already on that tool, you need to pick another tool. Okay? So you're going to pick a tool, you're going to go in and you're going to explore it not long enough so that you can answer these questions, and then be ready on the 19th because we're going to do some speed geeking. And you're going to be the quote expert, and I don't really expect you to be an expert, but be able to share the tool with other classmates, okay? So be ready to share what you've learned with other classmates on our next face-to-face meeting, okay? So again, you're going to do some speed geeking. You're doing the first part of it on your own, and then in class we'll share together, okay? So you're going to pick a tool from that list, put your name by it so nobody else picks that tool, explore the tool, and then add your information by it. And we're on to the end, and I'm going to add that speed geeking piece here. In fact, I'll do it right now. Pick and learn about a tool in the speed geeking activity. Okay. Okay, so your next steps are going to be to complete your innovative designer artifact. So you're using a different creation tool this week, and that's going to be due on the 19th. You're going to choose a topic for your research, and you're going to begin looking for those websites, videos, etc. And you're going to pick and learn about a tool in the speed geeking activity. Be ready to present or share. You're going to be sharing that with other students in the class on Thursday the 19th. And then on the 19th, we're meeting in the afternoon instead of the morning. And we'll be looking at Creative Communicator. And that's it for today. I know I talked for a long time. I hope that you turned me off when you needed a break and turned me back on. And if you have any questions, I will be available every day to answer questions via video, Google Hangouts, email, etc. So please feel free to do that if you've got any questions. And I hope you have a really great week. And I will see you on Thursday the 19th at 1 o'clock.